I think that it's most unfortunate that we have in this day and age an Operation Dudula, where I think it is indicative of the strife and the challenges that our people are experiencing 20, 27, 28 years after democracy, where, we would have thought by now we would have a thriving economy. Most people who are eligible would be in employment and would be able to provide for their families or for themselves. And because of this, there is now an issue where we want to blame. We want to blame the government. We want to blame the ANC. We want to blame Mandela. And now the latest is we want to blame the foreigners because they are the ones who are taking our jobs and so on and so forth. So that's the first thing.
Oh, okay.
The second thing, Izak, is that the ANC leadership and the government don't have a clear answer as to how to deal with the issue of foreign nationals and immigrants. And why do I say that? Because, as you know, it is much more complex. It's not as simple as many progressive-minded individuals want to purport. It's not simple about let's welcome our brothers and sisters from our neighboring countries who's running away from very bad situations, economic refugees, war-torn areas, and so on and so forth, famine. These are all true. But there is also a healthy dose of realism that must come into the equation. The fact of the matter is we have many, many illegal immigrants in South Africa. The fact of the matter is that many of our businesses, in hospitality in particular, but also in other industries, the Uber industry, the fast food delivery industry, and many others, simply find excuses to only employ foreign nationals and not local South Africans. And there are many arguments that they put forward. The foreigners are better educated, they have a good command of English, and so on and so forth. And perhaps there's some merit in some of those arguments. I don't buy it personally. I think it's got everything to do with two elements, Izak. Why these foreign nationals are being employed or preferred be employees than South Africans. The one is the obvious one, which is that South Africans, as being South African, they are entitled to unionize in all industries. You work for a certain period, you are legally permitted to join a union, and that invites all sorts of problems for employers, and they want to avoid that. Two, they are able to exploit the foreign nationals, pay them a pittance because they don't have to subscribe to labor relations and so on and so forth. They don't have to contend with unions. And if you are problematic, you simply get fired and you take the next Zimbabwean or the next Malawian. And this is the realism that I'm talking about. And finally, there's also the element of and it's a more controversial one, Izak, white owners of restaurants, of businesses, and so forth would rather, and I know this is a controversial statement, but I'm arguing they would rather contend with Black Africans from elsewhere on the continent who was not directly subjected and subjugated by them under apartheid than to have to contend with a Black African from Soweto or Alexandria who has that unequal relationship and that constant reminder of the boss. And they don't want to contend with that. So it's easy for them to rather say, no, let me employ the foreign national who doesn't come with that baggage, who doesn't make me want to view my guilt and my privilege all the time. So, but as I say, the last one is a controversial one. I'm sure many people will take me on it. But I firmly believe that. And so what I'm saying is that when you look at that realism that you bring into the equation, suddenly the problem is much more complex than just Are you here legally or illegally? Do you have the right documentation? And so on and so forth. And so I don't agree with Tudula, Operation Tudula. I detest any form of xenophobia, but we can't just dismiss these South Africans out of hand. And I think the reason why we're saying this dual messaging, this confusing messaging from the ANC leadership is precisely because they have to also contend with some of these realities.
So talking about that, do you think that there's a problem with border control?
Absolutely. You see, this challenge requires a multifaceted approach. There is no point in spending 300 million rand on some pathetic chicken fence that runs on the northern border. Clearly some people were just being enriched, and I don't know how many brown envelopes found its way into government officials' hands, but that was just a joke. We need having proper, succinct border control does not make you xenophobic. It simply says that we need to deal with criminality. We need to deal with illegality. We need to protect our wildlife. We need to protect our infrastructure, etc., etc. That is what proper border control is about. And we do need to have a wake-up call and secure our borders in this most stringent way.